What's up, guys? This is Teddy. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video, I'm going to be talking about managers and stores in Identity Framework. Managers are going to be what you're going to see 99% of the time. What you're going to be messing with is managers. Managers are going to, there's different kinds. There's a sign-in manager, and you don't need to, this isn't really important to know, but there's a sign-in manager, there's a role manager, there's a user manager, and all of this manager is basically a class or a data structure, fancy word, data structure, that's going to keep track of different ways to pull information. So if you're using a user manager, the manager will have like an extension method for role, like create role. Like that would be something you would see on a manager. And each one of these properties in your identity user model, if you look at this, is going to have a different way that you can manipulate. Each one of these properties has like a get and a set with a manager. That's also another really important thing. Whenever you're thinking like, what do I need, or what am I trying to get from the database? Just try to think in terms of your identity user object here and think about like, what do I actually need? And your identity user or your role manager is going to have individual methods that are going to act on each one of these properties. And they're literally just like get and set methods. So that's a neat little tidbit about what managers are and how managers are laid out. So let me see here. The next one, okay, so store, I'll briefly touch on what the store is. So the store is going to be what directly goes to your database, or it's almost like your context for just these properties that you get from identity, but they're within the actual identity framework. So if you were to change maybe how the database is pulling for username, what you would do is you would actually have to go into the store and make your own code. But because we're using identity framework with entity framework and we're not using Dapper or anything, all of this is kind of plugged in together. And it kind of also makes sense too. Like if you were to use Dapper with identity framework, you can do it, but you will have to go into the store and actually change all of those values so you can actually go into the database. And there's kind of enough theory. That's really all of like the theory that you're going to need to know. And we're going to apply this theory to actually generating a register controller. So the first thing that you're going to need to do within any app probably is you're going to have a register controller, and that's a good way that we can get acquainted with managers in stores. So let's see here. First thing that we're probably going to need is we're going to need the user store. So let's go in here. We're going to initialize a constructor. And because all of this code is abstracted away, we don't have to actually write any code, so we don't even need a repository, which is, once again, another very beautiful thing that we don't have to put up with and we don't have to deal with. We don't have to worry about actually making our own repositories because they're already made for us with identity. So what you want to do is we're just going to, like I said, bring in the user manager. So we're going to say identity user, and that's going to be our object. And you could also put the application user in here, but I've always just seen it done this way, so I'm not going to try and reinvent the wheel. Let me see here. And user manager could not be found. Looks like we are having issues with our NuGet packages, so let's see what we got here. Identity framework core. Let's see, for some reason, oh, okay, there we go. That's strange, but sometimes it happens. So, and I actually named this wrong, and I am just going to go in here and delete it, and I'm just going to re-add it. Sorry, guys. So go in here, we're going to go back, and we're going to go And I don't know why I called that the register controller. It needs to be the account controller. You could call it the register controller. I don't see any reason wrong with that, but account manager's a lot more broad and more encompassing. So identity user. And once again, if you don't know like what we're actually passing into here, like if you look at the identity user, you'll notice that this is what we have right here. This is our identity user. This is a very, very important part of identity framework. Pay attention to this and pay attention to where this is going, because this is going to explain a lot of why we're doing these things. So here we're going to go user manager, and then we're going to go, because we're signing in, we're also going to have a sign-in manager. As always, remember, managers are going to be nothing more than fancy data structures that are going to allow us to bring in all of these cool methods that are pre-written. Could write all of these on your own, but if Microsoft's going to do it for you, why not? Somebody's going to do something for you. It's kind of fucked up, but somebody's going to do something for you. Do not stop them. Okay. All right, so we're going in here to the sign-in manager, and so we've got that. Now what we need to do is we need to actually create this controller. So we're going to go in here, we're going to go public, and we're going to make this async. We're going to return a task, and it's going to be action result. Then we're going to go in here, we're going to go register, and then we're going to have a string, and then we're going to have a return URL. Okay, so what's a return URL? And this isn't, you don't see this in a lot of beginner courses, but you need a return URL for when somebody logs in. You can hard code a redirect, but you want them to be redirected back to where they came from. So if they came in off another web page, you want to pass in that URL that they were just at so that you can send them back dynamically. If you don't send them back dynamically, you can hard code this value in there, but it's not going to be just as nice as if you have a return URL. And then we need to go in here, and we're going to create a view model. So let's see, a view model folder. So view models. Then we need to make a register view model, because this is going to be, I always say when in doubt, just create a view model. Like if you're passing in any type of data into your controller, might as well just create a view model. If you're working in MVC, if you're working in another framework that may be different, but with MVC, might as well just make a view model. So we're going to be, this is like if you are a brand new programmer, you're probably not taking this course. So I just went ahead, and feel free to go ahead and go into my GitHub and copy this whole entire POCO down. If you're in an intermediate level, you don't need to worry about how to make a POCO. You probably already know how to do it. So I just went ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and toss in that amount right there, just to get rid of a little bit of the drudgery of taking these courses. As bad as that sounds, even my courses are boring. So it's best to learn what you need to learn and just don't worry about anything else. So we're gonna go in here, we're gonna go register view model, and then we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna new up this view model so that we can have a nice little place to put all of our data. That's what a view model is. It's really just like a nice little toolbox to put all of your variables, because you could have all these variables in here, but a view model is going to make sure that, you know, all these variables aren't just floating around in your controller. And then we're going to assign this return URL, and then we're going to go ahead, bring back this view, and pass in the view model. And you may be wondering, like, why did we just create a view model for this, for a GET request? I can see it may be a post, but if they don't fill out the form, another thing is another reason why a view model is important for GET request is because it's going to do the validation for all of this, so you don't have to do the validation within the actual model that you have. And if you notice here, we don't even have a model because our app user is being contained within identity user. Fun little fact for the day. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see if we can get this register to work, and let's also put this up in the layout. We need to make sure that we can actually get to this. So we are going to go up here, and because we're really not worried about how this looks, let's just go in here, and I'll change it here in a second, but just for right now, we're just going to test it. So register, and of course it's pointing to our account controller, and it's pointing to the register action. And we've got errors, so let's go here. We've got an extra curly brace. Let's go up here. Okay, and looks like we are in the mainframe. So register view was not found. So we haven't gone in and actually created our register view. And because we've created an account controller, remember that we need to go in here and create an account. And then we need to actually create a view. So go in here, we're gonna go register, then we're gonna go right here. Looking good. So let's go ahead and let's create this register view. And let me see here. I am just going to actually copy and paste. I've got a nice little snippet here, and I'll go over, explain kind of what a lot of this stuff means and some things that you really want to watch out for. So here we have the account. The account is we're going to go and we're going to post, and this is a method that we have not actually created yet. So we haven't actually, so we're going to post this, and we haven't actually wired any of this up. And we're getting red squigglies here because we need our view model. And let me see if I can maybe get this. No, it's not going to work. So we're going to go up here. We're going to create our model, and we need to create our register view model. Register view model. Then control dot. Always make sure that you're bringing in your view models up top right there. Otherwise, it's not going to show up. And this looks pretty good, but now we need to actually create our post request because we've wired up our get. We don't have an actual post request though. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to come in here, obviously, and we're going to create a post. And this is almost every single type of web app is going to follow this exact same process, this exact same procedure. We're going to create a get, then we're going to create a post. We're going to create a get, and then we're going to create a post. Very rarely do you just have one get and that's it. You have a lot of get and post for each one, and a lot of times you have more posts than you have gets because there's things trying to get to the back end. So we're going to go here, and we're also going to bring in, you guessed it, our return URL, because once they actually hit this post request, if it's successful, we want them to be redirected back to where they came from and not just something hard-coded in there. So we're going to go register view model. So then we have our return URL, and we're going to go ahead and pass that in. And then here, we're going to have if there's actually nothing there. So if the return URL is null, and this is just one way of doing this. You could also just put the null up here, but we're not going to do that. And we're go url.content, and here. So go here, and then we're going to have some validation. So we're going to go, so model state dot is valid. Then we go down, go right here, var user is equal to new app user, and we're gonna bring in our username. So let me see here. Let me make sure. that we're actually getting everything from the app user. So username is equal to, yep, and that's the right one that we want. And we're going to have register view model dot let's see here. Let's just have an email. I think an email, the register view model has a username, but let's not worry about username just yet. We'll have the email be the username. So we'll go email is equal to register view model dot email. Then here we'll have, yeah, or we'll just do the email. Okay, so that's going to be our user. Then we're going to have var result is equal to await dot user manager, and we want to create async. So we're going to create async, and then we're going to take in, this is going to take in the user, and this is also going to take in, let me see here, register view model, and yeah, that's going to be our password. So this user manager right here, remember I was talking about how important managers is going to pretty much handle everything. We don't have to actually worry really about hardly anything. So if the model state is valid, then the next thing that we want to do is we actually want to do an if statement. So if the result.succeeded, so if this is actually created and this gives a success response, and the user manager is going to take care of all of this. So if the result.succeeded is equal to true, then we're going to go in here, we're going to go into our sign-in manager, and we're going to sign them in. So sign in async. And once again, like magic, we're going to just go ahead and sign them in. It is persistent means you're going to get a persistent cookie. So after persistent means that after you close out of the browser, a persistent cookie will stay. A non-persistent or is persistent is equal to false means once the actual web page is closed out of, it's not going to exist anymore, and the user is going to have to re-log back in. And that's all that means. So here we'll add a little bit of model state. So add model error and email, and we'll just send up an error saying user could not be created, password not unique enough. So essentially, if they pass this in and it doesn't actually create it, or the password is not unique enough, or doesn't have the right number of letters and characters, it's going to show this where the email is. Actually, let's see here. We'll add model state to the password. So we'll go here, we'll go password, then here return view, and if everything goes according to plan, and if, or basically this is a last case scenario. Like if it goes through the whole entire, so if the result is not succeeded and it goes back down, it's just going to return the view. So we'll go register view model, and it's going to pass down all of the model errors with it as well. So we're going to go in here. Okay, and before we actually fire this thing up, let's go ahead, make sure that these are nullable, make sure the string is nullable, make sure the return URL is null, make sure this is null as well, and also we need to give this a username. So let me see here, register view model dot username. Sorry, that just I just remembered that. You actually have to have the username or else it won't work. You need a username whenever you create user accounts. So here, and I'm just going to put this one right here, prop string username, just like this. And we'll make this required. Just go down here, and we'll also give it the display name. So go into the display, and we're gonna go right here. We're gonna call this username. So username, just like that. Then we will go back, and I'm gonna shut this down because we're still editing here. So gonna go back and then to here, and then also we need to go back into the register view as well too. And I'll just show you how easy this is. You can just go in here, and we already added it to the register view model, and we're gonna go here, username, username, username. Once again, very easy. Gonna be posting to our register, got our submit. And we're going to go up here. We're going to go ahead and test this thing out. And I really hope it works. So we're going to go in here. We're going to go to our register. And we will just give this Ric Flair. We're going to suggest a strong password. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's step through this thing, make sure it's working. I hope it's working. Please work. Result succeeded. Boom! Got him. Okay, so we got result. And please sign in. And yes, it signed in. And then we're going to go ahead. It's going to redirect us. Thank you, Lord. That was starting to get a little scary there. I thought I was going to have to re-record the video, but did not have to. Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. This is just going to be the register. The next one, I'm going to be doing the login, and we'll go from there. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, and as always, see you in the next video.